Welcome, everyone, and a very good morning. Thank you for joining today's virtual conference. I hope everyone is keeping safe and healthy. I'm Anchor Hardik Vaidya, and I'll be your host for today. Dun and Bradstreet in association with Cloud4C and Google Cloud is glad to welcome you all to this virtual conference on the pertinent topic switch to agility, intelligent, managed Google Kubernetes as a service. Before we begin, I request everyone to please take a moment and go through the guidelines that have been displayed on your screen. So we encourage you to ask more questions in the session. We request you to please type your queries in the question section. These will be taken up in the Q&A session that is scheduled later. A couple of tips though. We want to know more about you. Hence, please mention your name and company name when you post your question. You can also mention the person you are directing the question to. Moving forward, let's take a quick look at today's agenda, today's flow. What do we have in store? So please refer to the agenda that's popped up on your screen right now. Ladies and gentlemen, with us, we have two esteemed speakers who've joined us in today's conference. Mr. Saurabh Dubey, who's the partner cloud architect at Google, and Mr. Kotilingeshwar Rao, Senior Vice President at Cloud4C Services. A promising agenda, ladies and gentlemen, with an eminent lineup of speakers. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank each and every one of you for being a part of today's conference. But you know what? Before we move forward and before we officially kickstart today's session, we have some goodies for you to win. That's right. As you can see on the screen, you all, ladies and gentlemen, our audience members, stand a chance to win some cool smartwatches. I'm sure you're wondering how. Well, it's super easy. We have a few polls that are lined up for you in today's session. Participation in that poll makes you stand a chance to win these cool smartwatches. It's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know what? Let's move on to the first poll. You have 30 seconds to answer this question, ladies and gentlemen, and get those answers in. Let's go. Come on, let's get those answers in. We want to stand a chance to win some cool smartwatches, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss this opportunity. All right, let's move forward and let's kickstart with the opening speaker for the day. I would now like to invite Mr. Saurabh Dubey, who's a partner cloud architect at Google, to take over this session. Over to you, Mr. Dubey.
Hey, hi folks. Good morning, everyone, and welcome everyone for this session. I hope I'm loud and clear. Everybody will be able to hear me fine. So before I'm going to start my session. I will definitely would like to share like what exactly are the poll results. What just now Hadik has shared. So as of now, I can see like okay, around 23% of folks have answered it yes. Around 54% of the folks are still evaluating the feasibility, and 23% have already implemented it. So that's really glad to see that you folks are really well aware of Kubernetes as a service, and I'm pretty sure this session will be useful for you. So, little brief about myself. I would like to share like okay, my name is Saurabh Dubey. I'm a partner cloud architect, part of Google Cloud team. Working with Google Cloud team since around 1.5 years, have overall 18 plus years of experience in the industry. Worked into most of the bigger enterprises before, like IBM, Oracle, and many other services industry in varied roles like delivery, implementation, pre-sales consulting, product management, and now here I'm playing a role of a cloud architect with Google Cloud. I have experience into multiple cloud providers before coming to Google. And here I'm going to take you a brief journey about GKE, its differentiator, and how it's going to be useful. So let me share my screen. Yes, it's ready now. So folks, I suppose I'm able to show this and you're able to see my slides well. Fine. So let me take you to a brief agenda topic. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to cover. And just to set an expectation, once again, I would like to welcome and going to cover around GKE as a platform. GKE stands for Google Kubernetes Engine. How exactly and what exactly we are going to talk and how we can use it in the application deployment or modernization journey. And third will be like, okay, how GKE will going to make operations or operator teams life easy. So without further ado, I will directly jump into the session part. So these are a few of the study numbers I would like to share with you to set up the context. Like business leaders across industries are prioritizing growth and innovation and time to market. And as you all are here to understand that responsibility to deliver is increasingly being placed on the shoulders of technology teams. And in fact, in a recent study, we have found that 94% of CIOs have indicated that at least 2 out of their top 3 business priorities depend on them. It's a big number, big responsibility. And I have also spoken to many of the CIOs in my conversations, and everybody have acknowledged that migrating to the cloud, adopting new application architecture, or building new native services will going to help them and give them a jump start for the new growth and accelerated time to market to take their application to their end users. However, 80% of them have reported that despite having a migration of their application into the cloud, they have struggled a lot to achieve the desired level of agility and business benefits. And they have also shared that primarily 2 or 3 areas which are there, which are coming up to them again and again. For example, they recognize the complexity in their proprietary IT stack, the way they are running their legacy applications, the dependency of their legacy applications. Second one can be they wanted to modernize so that they can really increase the efficiencies without business disruption. They can really enable an incremental migration path, right? Not exactly a one thing at a time way. And they also wanted to build up future applications to be the cloud native and leveraging the managed services and a multi-cloud in nature. Now, how exactly they will be able to achieve that? Because there is always a fear of being a lock-in into a one proprietary system. So where there is a huge demand for modernizing application platform, right? Many of the organizations are already on the path to modernizing applications. We have spoken to many CIOs, and what they are telling that almost 9 of the 10 enterprises today are operating in a hybrid or a multi-cloud environment. But most of those setups are running in silos. They do not have a single pane of glass visibility into their setup. More than 75% of the workloads are still running in on-premise. So there is a huge potential. And I am talking about modernization market as, if not less, then it's almost a $350 billion, and I am taking only the software spend, right? So it is very, very important that first we understand, like, okay, what are the key challenges when our customers would like to go for a modernization journey. One thing is for sure that rewrite is not a viable option for many of the workloads because there are thousands of legacy applications out there, COTS legacy frameworks, or many of the old applications. So why not just lift and shift those VMs into Google Compute Engine, right? Sure, it is safe, but very, very smaller benefits will going to reap out with those technologies. You can do much better, right? And all those things will be like provided to you by our other managed service offerings for the modern application, which is GK. Now, whenever we are discussing this with our customers, we find that during the journey of modernization, there are bound to be bumps, hiccups along the way, right? Because it is a challenging journey, especially for the large enterprises. Now, what they do as an enterprise, they look to modernize their IT infrastructure in a better architectural approach. So this is a very simple quadrant, I can call it, where you can imagine like, okay, some of the applications which need to be modernized, they can take multiple routes for their modernization, right? Customer have been frustrated with the traditional hybrid approaches. They see those approaches as either siloed or more often not committed to them, or get locked themselves into proprietary stack. So what they do is like, okay, if an application is running on-premise and they would like to modernize, so what they do is like they first lift and shift an application to the cloud and then take it to the modernization journey by our tools like Migrate for Anthos. Or else what they do is like, okay, they invest some time and an effort on-prem itself, make a traditional application to a cloud native application by refactoring that application, taking new platform and everything, and then they are moving it to the cloud as a cloud native application in a newer way, right? So they can take any path. We are there to help them out in their journey, because exactly as I was telling, that we have got you covered, and that is exactly are the problems where we can really help you out. Now, how we can help you out is, let me just take it there. Google Kubernetes Engine offering, we also call it GKE, is not new, because Kubernetes has started a long time ago as a Borg project within Google, and later we made it open source for the community in around 2015. Still, a lot of innovation happened after that, and we try to make it a lot better by introducing new functionalities, new features, or making it a part of our bigger umbrella offering called Anthos. Now, the things what we offer for GKE are no lock-ins. It's completely fully open source. There's a powerful flexibility what our customers will be getting it. In addition, because if you have an important revenue generating application, Kubernetes is a great way to meet the availability requirements without sacrificing the needs for efficiencies or scalability. With Kubernetes, you have a granular control over how the workloads can scale based on the demand. The high availability and scalability options available with GKE will going to help you load balance and self-healing resilient applications which are available for the customers for their better experience. We have a vibrant community because it is an open source product. So there's a very active community with a breadth of modern and open source extensions continuously being built and incorporated into that. And it is a long-term solution, because with 80% of the organizations are still using Kubernetes, they have a de facto platform, as Kubernetes has a de facto platform for their modernizing applications. Now, what we can offer you, right? GKE is a managed environment for deploying a containerized applications. It solves your customers by bringing on latest innovations in developer productivity, resource efficiencies, automated operations, open source flexibility, and many more. It will ultimately going to accelerate the time to market, because GKE is a powerful cluster manager or orchestration system for the running containers in the Google Cloud. Now, GKE cluster management systems like Kubernetes provides a mechanism through which you can interact with the clusters, right? Use basic Kubernetes already known commands and resources to deploy and manage your applications into Google Cloud Platform. GKE offers you a lot of automations to perform administrative tasks, set policies, monitoring the health of your deployed workloads, as well as it will continuously going to draw the same design principles to run popular Google services and provide the same benefits like automatic management, liveliness probes of application containers, and whatnot. We have more than 10 years of experience running these workloads in containers. Now, how we are able to do that? With a simple click. You can start a cluster by providing the basic information into our GKE screen or provisioning screen, where with a simple click, you will be able to create a Kubernetes cluster. You are able to view your cluster and workload in a single pane of glass across the environment wherever you are creating it, because GKE is not only available being offered in GCP platform, but we are also going to extend it in on-prem way if you would like to have that, or if some of your customer would like to have that. Google keeps your cluster always up and running because it is backed by Google infrastructure, which is the most reliable and scalable infrastructure in the world. Now, on the left-hand side, I would like you to imagine a customer who is managing Kubernetes in their own premises, right? They have to invest a lot of time into a lot of activities which they are executing in terms of work node provisioning, security networking configuration, patching upgrades, monitoring management, scaling down, and whatnot. But very limited amount of time they're spending on creating the application platform on which they will be deploying their workloads, creating the application, which is ultimately bringing value to their end customers. Now, if I'm comparing with a managed Kubernetes offering on the right-hand side, you will see a lot of things have been taken away with GKE. Means those operations overloads has been taken away from you, and you can invest and focus a lot more time from your developer teams to develop and enhance the business logic of the application, which is ultimately bringing value to your end customer. Now, GKE offers two modes, and this is the view. What I am talking about as of now is for the standard mode. For the Autopilot mode, which is a hands-off with a Kubernetes experience and a great innovation from our side, this autopilot, which is a mode of operation offered by GKE, which is designed to reduce an operational cost for managing clusters and optimizing your clusters for production, yet yielding you a higher developer productivity, because this mode of operations refers to the level of flexibility and responsibility. Once again, if you compare that with the left-hand side and right-hand side, although GKE is standard, still you need to do some of the responsibilities to make sure your platform is up and running for your application development. GKE Autopilot have gone next level and taken away, like, okay, those kind of responsibilities away from you, where your developers can dedicate and focus 100% of their time in their application development or developing their business logic. Autopilot mode manages the entire clusters and node infrastructure for you, where Autopilot provides a hands-off Kubernetes experience so that you can focus on your workloads and only pay for the resources required to run for your application, not anything else. These clusters are pre-configured with an optimized cluster configurations, and that is ready for a production workload deployment. Now everything is automated. We also realized that the customer wanted to choose and release team which will match to your release cadences, like 1 month, 3 weeks, whatever it is, and as well as at the same level of risk tolerance, which will keep your masters and nodes upgraded together, which is the right channel in your DevOps pipeline. Now security, right, which is a key ask from any of the customers with whom you will be working, because CI/CD pipeline doesn't stop an untrusted deployment. What best you can offer? With GKE, we will be offered to use some very unique differentiated feature. We call it binary authorization. Now, binary authorization is a deploy time security control, which ensures that only the trusted container images are deployed on GKE. With binary authorization, you can require images that is to be signed by the trusted authorities automatically and during the development process, and then enforce signature validations when deploying, so that no developer is using an untrusted image. If they do that, the DevOps pipeline will not going to be completed, and it will be alerted back to the developer that they have used it, and we'll be able to fail fast and we'll be able to perform much better. And the similar way, GKE security vulnerability scanning, I think these are the few things which are really critical in a typical development environment. We can scan images. When images are getting added to the registry, there is an update to a vulnerability data tab, the various kind of an operating system versions which are available. So it's that. Now, one more differentiated features I would like to call it, as I was talking about resiliency and auto scaling features. We are the only cloud provider who will be able to optimize across 4 dimensions of autoscaling. Either it is a horizontal pod autoscaler, a vertical pod autoscaler, a cluster autoscaler, or a node auto provision. Now, I'm not going to much detail, but on a high level, I can tell HPA basically talks about changes the shape of your Kubernetes workload automatically by increasing or decreasing the number of pods in response to your workload demands. Vertical auto scaling frees you from having to think about values, what specific containers like CPU requests and limits or memory requests are going to get you. And cluster autoscaler basically automatically resizes the number of nodes in a given pool based on the demand for your workloads. You don't need to manually add or remove nodes or over provision your node pools. Instead, you just specify a minimum and maximum size for the node pool, and rest is automatic. Now, node auto provisioning is a mechanism of cluster autoscaler which automatically adds the new node pools in addition to managing their size on users' behalf. You can run your Windows Server containers, as you can pack many more Windows Server containers on each Windows nodes, and you'll be able to reduce a lot of money on the licensing cost. Now, as I was mentioning, that GKE is the fundamental offering of our big umbrella offering called Anthos. Now, why Anthos, or how is it different? I'll just like to take a moment. You can imagine that Anthos offers you a much wider offering to you. Now, this Anthos GKE at the center, you can see like, okay, this is one offering based on open source 100% software based solutions based on Kubernetes. Anthos Service Mesh, which is based on Istio, which is once again open source. Cloud Run for Anthos, which is basically based on Knative, which is another open source offering. So you can see you can deploy Anthos either on-premise in a VMware-based environment, or on bare metal, or GCE, or in some other cloud provider as of now. So that's the beauty. It in true means this is Anthos is an offering from Google Cloud, and such a differentiated offering like no other cloud provider is able to offer in the market right now, that we will be able to offer and support a hybrid cloud environment to run your production grade application workloads in it right now. Now you must be thinking like, okay, what are the key differentiator for Anthos apart from like, okay, running it across in a hybrid cloud manner, right? A simplified management where you can see it is designed to work where you want, either on-prem, cloud, wherever you say, and also on top of it, it will be able to offer you a Kubernetes deployment. So it's not just your binaries that are portable, it also everything else. So your application configurations or your security policies, your monitoring, alerting, everything. Now, policy-based security controls is something which is definitely in a big demand from your SecOps teams, right? Anthos integrates with your existing identity system, but provides a new way to manage your policies. One of the Anthos's top goals is to make policies easier to express and manage, as well as simplifies access management for letting your policies run as rules. For flexible deployment way, you can imagine it can be deployed on existing hardware in your on-prem, on your VMware in hypervisors. And right now it works on uh, any hardware which is certified for VMware. So it's very, very easy for you to get you started on your existing investment, what you have done in your infrastructure. Portable applications, right? So it is designed to work with VMs, containers built for portability, so you can avoid any kind of a lock-in when you're using containers with Anthos. You're using 100% open source software-based Kubernetes solution, which is not a very, very special Google version, unlike other cloud providers. Extensible service, right? One of the promises of cloud is that you can get more things as a service than just as a code. Anthos makes it easy to incrementally move toward that goal because it operates well with existing systems. And on top of it, we also offer you a marketplace offerings where you will get a lot of Kubernetes applications which are ready to deploy in any Kubernetes cluster available with you, which is ultimately going to significantly reduce your time to market time and also extend your application capabilities beyond your imaginations. For business users, yes, these are the numbers, what you can share it based on the study, what we have done, that up to 4.8x of return on investment when we are taking Anthos as an offering to our enterprise customers. We are talking about 74% of increase in application migration and modernization, 55% of increase in platform operation efficiencies, and 38% of reduction in non-coding activities. I'm talking about managing infrastructure way. So this is all from my side, folks. With this, I would like to rest. And if you have any questions, maybe I'll take it now or the later on the session.
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Dubey. That was a very interesting session. Lots of pointers to unpack. And I'm sure, and I really hope our audience members will pull their questions in for you when we discuss in the Q&A session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now is time for poll number 2. The question, ladies and gentlemen, will pop up on your screen in just a moment. Once again, I request everyone to participate because you will stand a chance to win some cool smart watches. And that's the question on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. 30 seconds is all you have. Put your answers in and stand a chance to win some cool smart watches. All right, come on, let's get those answers in. All right, so we are just done with this poll, ladies and gentlemen. Those 30 seconds are over. With this, let's move on to the next speaker for the day. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kotilingeshwar Rao, Senior Vice President at Cloud4C. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Hardik, and thank you, Saurabh. Very good morning to all participants. Taking time out.
So we are facing a
Which is
bit
3 to
of
6
an
months
internet issue at
is
your end. We request you to please go over that. Apologies for the inconvenience to you, sir. Internet is the world that we are living in. I request you to please go over that again.
great. Okay. So the answers to this particular poll we have over here, the short term is 3 to 6 months. We have almost like 33% of the participants polling and opting this particular short term of 3 to 6 months of implementation. The near term is around 24%, which is 6 to 12 months. And the long term is 12 plus 4 months, which is 42%. Yeah, so these are the results of the poll to the question, which is when do you plan to implement GKE microservices in your organization? So with this, my friends, I would like to talk about C4C and the partnership what we have with Google and what we are trying to do in terms of Kubernetes implementation and helping the organizations, especially to achieve this particular cloud journey getting implemented and taking the advantage of the new technologies that has been there in the industry. So let me just share the screen and from there we'll take it up.
I believe sir's screen is frozen once again. So am I audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. You guys can hear me?
Yes, sir, very well. You're waiting for your
Excellent.
presentation to start.
Oh, perfect, excellent. Thank you. So before I start, let me give a short brief of myself. I'm Koti Udari, being in the industry for almost like 24 plus years, primarily on the infrastructure perspective. Been working with government organizations like Ministry of Information Technology, STPI, moved on to Infosys, then on to UK, working with the gaming industries, then on with the SaaS-based organization, and been with Cloud4C for the last 4.5 years, playing a role of a senior vice president, cloud service delivery, taking care of all the hyperscalers as well as the cloud service delivery and the associated infrastructure, plus the new automation related aspects and the digital transformation services. Hardik, are you able to see the screen?
Sir, I would request you to please switch on your slide because I believe you're not able to see the presentation that you're trying to relay here.
1 second. Is the screen visible?
I believe, sir, we have a moment of a lag. It hasn't relayed on our screen yet. That's right, so we can view that.
Excellent. So basically, if you look at it, the businesses are increasingly moving towards the cloud journey. Why they are moving? Basically, they want to get the flexibility in terms of the scalability and also increase the availability with the high performance related. And of course, these are the driving factors for any organization to move from the cloud, from the native infrastructure, the native landscapes onto the cloud journey, like innovations and of course the speed and the agility. That's the customer experience that the customer is looking forward. And what are some of the digital transformation initiatives that has been taken? Like if you look at the application modernization, data center modernization, cloud native application development, data engineering. So these are the various driving factors for any organization to move towards the cloud journey. So now I'm going to talk about the typical cloud migration framework, how it works out. and how C4C does this particular migration related aspect. So we generally follow the cloud access framework, basically starting with the different phases on it, consolidated into 3 to 4 phases like discovery. In terms of the assessments, the output of that particular discovery phase would be the detailed report plus the business case plus the scope, and then followed by the foundation migration related aspects in terms of the landing zone creations, and then of course the project governance methodologies, and followed by the actual migration related aspects dividing into various phases as well. And we follow some sort of an operating model which we call as a migration factory for the cloud related deployments, like migrate, integrate, test, transform, monitor, and optimize. So this is the operating model that we follow and we offer to our end customers. And if you look at the application modernizing framework, the Cloud4C's application delivery follows the interactive cloud native development principles and believes in driving the development by business requirements and business needs.
I apologize, sir, for interrupting you, but may I please request you to change your slide because we are still on the first slide. Thank you.
Can you see this?
Yes, sir, we can.
I think there is a lag over here. Okay. So can you see the application modernizing framework slide now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. So all I'm telling about is the Cloud4C's application delivery follows an interactive cloud native development principles. The further development and continuous development caters to following the technologies and the process delivers application the cloud-based infrastructure. What does it mean? So basically, we provide certain services, we start some sort of an enablers and then followed by deliveries if you look at to the left side. Like we help the organization to do their particular modernization by providing the services like assessment and following the 6R approach, like retain, relaunch, probably replace, and some sort of a design thinking workshop which we conduct, and we work with the customers applications team as well. And then we help them in terms of the implementation of these services with strong governance, project management, and portfolio management. Thereafter, we also provide services in terms of complete management of the applications that the customer hosts on the cloud. And the various cloud native modernization aspects like the scope management, portfolio management, change management, cloud assessment, and of course the quality assurance. Of course, the security related aspects are completely built in terms of this particular framework that what we offer to our end customers. So these are the 6 pointers. Like we also make sure that the customers, we work with the customers to identify their business goals. The customer interaction and counseling sessions happens. We primarily focus upon the business requirements and come with the architecture design accordingly. We work with the customer to develop some sort of an agile, interactive, short cycle based development processes. Of course, we get into the DevOps, complete automated delivery of the code to the production, plus the application hosted, plus the application maintenance enhancements to the complete managed services. What does Kubernetes do? This is an interesting question to be answered, right? Yes, as we all know, Kubernetes, also called popularly known as KX, it is a vendor agnostic cluster and container management tool. It's open sourced. It provides a platform for automating development, scaling, and operations of application containers across the cluster of hosts. So what does it generally do for the business?
Koti, sir,
what does he want?
So once again, sincere apologies. I request you to please change your slide.
Karthik, can you see the slide now?
It hasn't reflected yet, sir. Right, application development methodology.
Yeah, can you see what does Kubernetes do?
Not yet, sir. We can't. Yes, now we can.
Okay. So the key point is, what Kubernetes do and what benefits that an organization can take. The first and foremost is high availability, right? This is what any CIO looks into. This is what any business wants, right? And this high availability is achieved with no downtime. This is a pointer that which we need to make it. Second is scalability, right? For example, the development environment which has been created for the developers, right? Once they do it, it has to go into a UAT environment and then onto the production. So the scalability that is needed, that's already built in. For example, based on this particular load or on the workflows, if the resources have to be increased or decreased, that's particular agility in terms of expansion, in terms of scalability is already taken care, providing very high performance. This is the second key pointer to be noted. The third one is about the disaster recovery. Right? What does Kubernetes offer in terms of disaster recovery? It has got a quick backup, right? And it can easily restore as and when it is needed. So these are the three key pointers, what Kubernetes offers, and there are a lot many other functionalities as well, which will help, and we will discuss that in the subsequent slide. So the 5 business reasons for every CIO to be considered, right? First is faster development to the market, right? You don't need to have a different setups for development, for UAT, for production. You can run everything in a small containerized environment, and you can have the Kubernetes to manage that particular aspect.
Koti sir,
You have the similar same across stack.
Can we please change the slide?
Yeah, Hardik, can you see the slide?
So which slide are we on currently in your screen?
Yeah, the 5 business reasons for the CIO.
So what is currently reflecting is what does Kubernetes do? Right, now we can see, sir. Thank you.
Oh, is the lag. What we're talking about is about the faster time to the market, that is the improved development related applications into getting into the production things. Of course, it also leads into the cost optimization related, providing the scalability and the multi-cloud resiliency and the flexibility that particular Kubernetes gives us, and the seamless migration to the different type of clouds, whether it could be private, public, or hybrid. So these are the 5 major reasons that need to be, for every business which looks upward, and the CIO is also main looking in terms of getting deployed. Hardik, can we move to the next slide?
Next slide, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So in terms of Cloud4C value add that it brings in partnership with the Google to the end customers is we partner with the end customer in terms of their cloud journey towards implementing the Kubernetes adoption. We help them to do some sort of research about an analysis of their existing landscape, do some sort of an the proof of concept to understand where we are and where we would like to go, probably getting the minimum value product, and of course the Kubernetes deployment in the production as well. So this is where we try to get the value add to our end customers in partnering with Google. The next slide, Hardik. So if you look at it, the fully managed Kubernetes solutions that what we offer from Cloud4C, as we all know that Cloud4C is again from controllers, which is more into the data centers, and we have been in the cloud journey for more than 15 years plus. And our strong force is on the cloud native infrastructure. And if you look at the way how we have evolved over a period of time from cloud native infrastructure to the containerization, orchestration, security main, and of course moving into this. So this rich experience is what the Cloud4C brings, and this is a value add that end customer gets from the Cloud4C in their particular fully managed Kubernetes solutions. Next slide, please. So the Cloud4C expertise, we have almost 1,000 plus odd public cloud experts, plus 2,000 plus cloud experts serving 4,000 plus odd end customers. We are also a Google Cloud partner and in the journey towards becoming Google Cloud Premier partner as well. So next slide, Hardik. The technology partnerships, what we have is we work with different technology leaders in the industry like Jenkins, GitHubs in terms of continuous integration. We work with SonarQubes, GitLabs in terms of code management, Marvin in terms of the build, like Docker, Kubernetes in terms of microservices, and of course the testing. We work very strongly with Selenium and other aspects, supporting different databases like Mongo, Redis, SQL Server, and of course the Cassandra. Next slide, Arthur. Kubernetes consulting services for the business, what we offer in partner with Google. So if you look at it, there are various offerings from our side. The first is Kubernetes platform assessment. What we generally do over here, we assess the current platform implementation, work process technologies, and of course the skill sets also we assess at the customer side. Depending upon the business goal of the customer and the problem, the assessment takes from couple of hours to couple of days, right? This particular assessment gives a clear understanding of how the Kubernetes implementation has to be done in that particular respective organization, and also the work process aligned to the best processes or the best practices. And the roadmap that identifies steps to improve your current Kubernetes related implementation process is prepared in this Kubernetes assessment platform. And then followed by that, we also offer infrastructure optimization. We review the existing infrastructure, plan, we help them to plan, and of course, we optimize. We run the Kubernetes clusters review to make sure it is built in accordance with the best practices and does not use existing resources. We guide the customers to optimize the infrastructure in order to decrease their spend without sacrificing the investment that they already made on the existing platforms. We also conduct a lot of brainstorming sessions. Our Kubernetes engineers and experts provide consulting and brainstorming sessions. We also provide advice on the most critical aspects of Kubernetes implementation and adoption with a long-term commitment. After the sessions, the customers will get an overview, expert analysis, and a short report of most important release updates in the Kubernetes ecosystem that can be embedded in the customer's landscape and environment. And then production grade MVP, the engineers at Cloud4C will develop a production grade Kubernetes roadmap to accelerate the adoption of the industry most advanced containerized orchestration. Requirement discovery sessions, Kubernetes cluster delivered as infrastructure as code, integrated with common services and taking into account common functional security and other requirements. Knowledge transfer and documentation is also part of the production grade MVP. Moving on to the training, we have a lot of expertise. We have a separate center of excellence within our organization who can help the end customers to advance the skill set of their particular team members in operating and managing Kubernetes clusters. With us, the end customers get a basic understanding of the platform to advance container orchestration techniques in a matter of week to 10 days. So this is part of the training. So we offer this type of Kubernetes consulting in different verticals as well. Next slide, Hardik. The implementation services using the GKE. The complete customized Kubernetes, this is the roadmap that we create, we evaluate based on the workflows and the workflows that the customer has. We develop a strategic plan in line with the customer's requirement, overcoming the existing bottlenecks that what they are facing, and build up a future path for their production grade Kubernetes implementation in their organizations. Post which we also perform, we help provisioning large-scale production deployments in terms of fine-tuning deployments, smooth and cost-effective manner, which will help reduce infrastructure cost and safety belt on Kubernetes to power your mission-critical enterprise applications. We also help the various customers in terms of quickly onboarding the developers. We have trained numerous developers for our customers. Our training can help them upgrade their skills, cloud-native software development, speeding up onboarding. Next slide, Hardik. Yes, Kubernetes as a service portfolio. What we offer over here, our managed Kubernetes as a service solutions makes it easy to deploy, manage, and scale Kubernetes clusters to run containerized applications. So the customers can fully automate their life cycle of applications running on the cloud, become more agile with the respective workloads, enabling innovation and maximizing their productivity. The solution is fully managed and removes the need of specialist knowledge as well, right? As we say, we offer different services like discover, design, build, manage, and the knowledge allowing the developers to focus application trusting. And we bring this entire portfolio or the offering as a package to the end customer. So the end customer doesn't need to go here and there. Everything is completely given to them as part of the package. The next slide, Hardik. And of course, the key features like auto-scaling, pod auto-scaling, rolling, private clusters, network policies, auto-scaling of this one. So these are part of the managed services which we offer from C4C in partnering with Google. Yeah, next slide, Hardik. Of course, we do everything everything with a proprietary tool of C4C, which we call as a shop. This is a self-healing operation platform. This is a single pane across all the workloads and the clouds. This is used extensively in terms of providing the managed services for infrastructure and also the application management. This is completely a single pane for the end customer who can review their entire landscape, what's happening on that particular landscape, the performance related aspects. So it is more of an bringing the operational efficiency as well and giving a one single view for the entire customer landscape. So we use this extensively, and this is a value add that we bring into the table for the end customer in partnership with Google. And this is extensively an in-house developed tool by C4C. Hardik, next slide. We also offer the Kubernetes monitoring services. So this particular description, followed by the bottlenecks part, we come up with some sort of an extensive report which gives the complete bottlenecks that have been found in their environment. We also help the end customers installation and recommendation on how to address this type of thing. So this is a continuous monitoring process. Again, this has been embedded back into the shop that what I have been described in the earlier slide. Next slide, Hardik. The cost-effective analysis, so estimating the cost of the infrastructure, the optimization related aspects, and this is primarily depending upon the business requirement, of course, the workloads, the various applications, the various microservices that the end customer is using, and of course, everything will be done properly in line with the return of investment, the complete details, explanation to the management, getting the best value for the budget that you guys are going to put in. And of course, the optimal Kubernetes distribution and infrastructure service to fit the budget in line with the customer expectations. Next one slide, Hardik. We also offer the performance related offering with regard to the Kubernetes benchmarking. We conduct the proof of concepts in line with discussions with the customers, in breaking down the workbenches, and help them make a smart decision which Kubernetes distribution and underlying base fits in their particular environment and the landscape. We also help in terms of the different POCs that we do, like the Google Cloud Platform, OpenShift, and ensure that at all times the compliance part is taken care, and of course, including the security aspects as well. Next slide, Hardik. The support. As I said, we have a strong workforce, a mix of 100+ cloud engineers, cloud experts, and we have an extensive center of excellence, especially for the Google Cloud Platform related projects to support with. We have 24/7 support. The team understands in depth, works on the tickets, and also helps and maintains the troubleshooting of the customer issues. The data integrity, the phases, disaster recovery, we help that one. And of course, we help the customer in terms of getting their particular patch management in place, the upgrades to be done in place with zero downtime or zero interruptions, which most of the customers look like, right? And the support packages for the Kubernetes are completely customizable, and of course, they are all stay up to date. Yeah, next slide, Hardik. The cloud native application modernization also we help it, as we thought about in the previous thing, 6R practice, application re-platforming, we do it, code assessment, application re-engineering, and of course the DevOps as a service. That's a complete offering from our side as well to the end customers. Next slide, Hardik. So this is the offering that we offer in terms of the DevOps as a service. This comes again as a completely packaged with the full suite of integrations, starting from the consulting to the solution offering, plus the DevOps as a security, DevSecOps, plus the site reliability engineering sort of factor. So these all things come as a bundled offer to the end customer. And of course, we also work with the end customer in terms of implementing the methodology by deriving a strategy for the DevOps designing, and DevOps establishment, and of course provide the complete DevOps related managed services as well. The customer doesn't need to worry about any of the core underlying infrastructure related, and they can completely focus on their business critical applications. And the various tools also we use it in terms of it, like SonarQube, Jenkins, Jira, CodeShip. So all the tools that are there, we use those and we support the end customers accordingly. Next slide, Karthik. As I said, security is also one of the key aspects, right? And we have an offering offering called Kubernetes Security Audit. As part of this one, the detailed description of the vulnerabilities will be detailed in the report, and of course, the strategies to address them, how to fix them. So the complete security posture, where we are, what are the vulnerabilities, how do we fix it? So these type of things is the outcome of this particular security audit offering that what we offer to the end customers. Hardik, can we move to the next slide? Yeah. As I said, our design, the uniqueness from Cloud4C, what it is, right? The experience that we have from the cloud native on towards the moving journey from virtualization layers onto the containerization and the open source complete orchestration. So every design that we do is secure by design. We release every product, every application, every service that we do. This is all completely in line with the CIA certifications. In terms of the platform and workload, we make sure that the environments that we create and we support are completely isolated in line with the global security standards using this RBAC, and of course the policy-driven security automatizations. And we use lot many tools like Prometheus for the monitoring aspects and also SolarCube for the code reviewing before we deploy that particular aspects into the end customers. Right. So these are the key things that what we consider when during the designing, and we work with the end customer to make sure that the security and the compliance related that are applicable to host their application and microservices are completely taken into the consideration before even it gets into the deployment phase. Next slide, Hardik. So the thing, yeah, Hardik.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rao. Thank you so much for your patience. And I'm sure our participating audience members have been extremely kind and they have a lot of takeaways from the session as well. But before we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the last poll for you. And it's a very quick one. Your thoughts are incredibly valuable. So please make sure you participate and you stand a chance to win cool smartwatches. This question is on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. 30 seconds for you. And then we'll move on to the Q&A section. Come on, let's get those answers in. A few seconds more, ladies and gentlemen. All right, with that being said, let's move on to a few questions that I've received right here. So let me bring our panelists, our wonderful speakers on, please, so that our questions can be asked right at them. Mr. Rao and Mr. Dubey, I request you to please come on screen. Thank you very much once again for your fantastic presentation. A couple of questions I have right in front of me are, one, how much time does it take for my organization to adopt Kubernetes?
It's a very good question. It doesn't take much time. Hardly it's like 10-15 minutes to implement it, provided we do the proper assessment. Yeah. And of course, we know what is that you wanted to host in terms of the application criticality, application differences, and the various micro services that you guys are going to host it. So I would say that it's very much easy. It's not that great different. As Saurabh pointed, we can just do everything on the click of a button.
Wonderful. So that's pretty reassuring to hear. And my second question is, does my application need to be changed to adopt GKE?
No,
It depends.
As we mentioned, yeah, Saurabh, you want to take it?
Yes, please. We'll hear from both of you.
Yes,
We'll take from Mrs. Saurabh first.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Hardik. Thanks, Koti sir. Honestly, Karthik, it depends. Like, okay, whether your application required to be changed, because it depends. Like, it depends on a lot of factors. Like, okay, what is the exact current platform on which your application is running? What is the framework you are using? What is the scale you are looking for when you are migrating it to the cloud? But honestly speaking, as I was mentioning, with the tools offered by Google Cloud, like Migrate for Anthos, but by just running that tool onto that application, so VM based application can directly convert it into a containerized application. And GKE can be a platform to deploy that application right away. You will get all the collaterals getting generated automatically, for which, like, okay, sometimes most of the organizations are either struggling because of their skills or times or bandwidth, or the developer who really wrote those legacy applications currently are not available with the organizations. So I will say, like, okay, honestly, it depends on a lot of factors. Koti sir, over to you.
Saurabh, yes, in addition to what Saurabh has mentioned, that it purely depends upon this particular thing. But yes, we do have service as an application modernization, and which can talk about this. So looking into the particular application that's been hosted and the different microservices, as I mentioned, based on that, we can follow the 6R principle. We can replace, rehost, yeah, or we can even rebuild that particular thing. So we can follow that particular methodology as well. So it depends. It's not necessarily needed that the application has to be rebuilt to adopt the GKE.
Wonderful. So thank you so much to our wonderful panelists for being so patient with their answers, and with also understanding the internet connection is a bit of an issue today, but more importantly, audience members for being so kind. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we bring today's virtual conference to a close. Today's session wouldn't have been possible without the active participation of our esteemed speakers and delegates, and obviously our audience members. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out and being a part of this virtual conference today. A special shout out and thanks to Cloud4C and Google Cloud for their support to this initiative, without whom, once again, this definitely wouldn't have been possible. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again, for being a wonderful audience. Take care, keep your masks on while stepping out, and stay safe.
Thank you,